Welcome! In this series of videos, we will look at topics common to both the PowerBasic Console and Windows compilers. Today, we will look at the use of the shell command to call external applications. In this series of videos, we'll be covering topics which are common to both the PowerBasic Windows compiler and the PowerBasic Console compiler. In order to do this, I've set up a small common library to allow us to display information on the screen from a program regardless of whether you're using the Windows or the Console compiler. There are three basic functions in this common display library. There's prep output, log, and wait. Today we're going to look at the shell command. Now the shell command can either be used as a statement, in which case the code in your application will pause until the application to which you are shelling completes, or the shell can be run as a function, in which case as soon as you launch the external application, your program will continue to the next line of code, and the shelled function will continue independently even if your application actually closes. So let's have a look at how we use this in code. So what we're going to do is we're going to shell out to the Notepad application. We'll put a message out to the log to say that we're about to start a shell, and we'll create a local variable to act as our handle. Now what we've done here is we've created a local variable called longHandle. We're shelling out to the Notepad application and we're using a parameter of 1. Now in the shell command you have a number of parameters you can actually use. You can either use the default, which is we will shell out to the application and we'll give it the focus. We can basically hide the application. You can minimize it with focus, you can maximize it with focus, you can run it normally with focus or without. So what we're doing today is we're launching Notepad and we're giving it the default, which is normal with focus. The value that goes into this handle, if you successfully shell out to the application, will be a number greater than 0, and this will be the process ID. So having shelled out to the application, in this case your code will continue to the next line. Now you can actually test the value of handle to ensure that your shelling has been successful. So what we're doing here, we're outputting the process ID to our log. Now if we try running that now, we will see that the Notepad application has been launched. We have picked up the process ID, which if you look at your task manager and we look under the details and look for the Notepad application, there's Notepad application there, and it is quite happily showing the process ID as 11780. So we have successfully picked up the correct process ID for our application. Now, our own application has continued quite happily because we have shelled out using the shell as a function. So anything we put in here, we can run Notepad quite happily, even if our own application terminates. So that demonstrates how to launch an application and then continue your own code. But what if you want to launch an application and you wish to wait till that application finishes before continuing the next line of code? Well, you can do that as well by using the shell command as a statement. We'll comment those two lines out, we'll run this and we'll put a message to the log to say that the shelling has been complete. Now if we run this now, the log shows that the shell has begun, but our application has now paused, waiting for Notepad to complete. So Notepad will run quite happily, and then when Notepad finishes, our application continues. So that shows how to launch an application using shell and waiting for the application to actually complete. Now, if you want to launch something on the console, for example the dir command, we can do that too. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do a dir on our current directory, and we're going to pipe the information out to a file. To do that, we need to put another environment variable in, and we will give it the command we want to use, which case is dir. We want to do it for everything in the directory, and we will pipe that out to a file called list.txt. Now, since we're using the shell command here as a statement, then our application would pause until this is actually finished. And if we run that now, it would run quite happily and tell us the list file had been created. And if we have a look inside the file itself, there indeed is our list file. So, as well as calling applications outside of your own application, you can of course send them parameters. So since we've created a file here, what we want to do next is we'll do another shell, again to Notepad, and we will give Notepad the path to the file we wish to load Notepad with. So what we're doing now is we're calling the shell command to do a dir on the current directory, piping the value of that out to a list file, then we're shelling it to Notepad and giving it the parameter of the file we have just created. Now, just to be sure, we will delete the existing file to make sure it doesn't exist, and we will run our application now. And there we go. The shell has started, the list file was created. We then launch Notepad with a parameter of the file we have just created, and it has displayed quite happily all the details in that file. So that completes the basics of the shell command. There's much more we can do with shelling out, but we'll cover that in a later video. Thank you for watching.